Second Lieutenant, 1970, deployed to Europe, serving both Germany and Italy with the 509 Parachute Infantry Battalion Combat Team until 75. He served leadership position of the 5th and 10th Special Forces Groups, the Special Operations Command Europe, U.S. Army John F. Kennedy Special Warfare Center in School. He served a 2-year exchange program assignment with the Sousa Alpine Infantry Battalion, 4th Alpine Corps of the Italian Army in Northwest Italy. He is a graduate of the Infantry Officer Advanced Course, the Defense Language Institute, University of Georgia, Columbus, and the U.S. Army Command for General Staff College. Retired in '93 with 27 years of service. He's co-founder of Special Operations Speaks and Vets in the Fight, both organizations devoted to protecting our Constitution and promoting veteran service in public office. Lieutenant Colonel Ben Way resides in Whispering Pines, North Carolina, with his wife Mary Ann. They have 10 grandchildren. Please welcome Lieutenant Colonel Ken Ben Way.
When we first got here, myself and Gotti Edelman came up to the podium just to make sure we could actually see over it and use it. And I said, Gotti, don't worry about it. Small targets live longer, so we'll just I can't thank the organizers enough who invited me here to speak today. I thank you for inviting me to this celebration, marking the restoration of duty, honor, and country as our guiding principles. Principles being rekindled in our national defense establishment by our new president, Donald J. Trump, 45th President of the United States. Today I have the honor of representing Special Operations Speaks, a veteran organization founded by 3 of us. Colonel Dick Brower, U.S. Air Force Air Commando, retired. Captain Larry Bailey, U.S. Navy SEAL, retired. And myself back in May 2012. That was in response to the Obama administration leaking of highly classified information about special operations tactics, techniques, and procedures employed by U.S. Special Operations Forces in the raid that killed bin Laden. We started up with about 50 followers back in May 2012. Last week we had about 350,000 vets, their families, and other supporters check in on us on social media, so we've come a long way. Those are all vets, what we call vets in the fight. And we'll talk about vets in the fight just a little bit later. Let me see a show of hands of veterans in the crowd today. Oh. Great, thank you for your service, all of you. I'm going to ask your indulgence so as to put us all in the right frame of mind. Will you join me, you veterans, in reciting our oaths of military service? If so, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed over me, according to regulations in the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So help me God. Airborne. Thank you all again for your honorable service and for reaffirming this lifelong contract with our republic. We are all going to need to keep those words fresh in mind in the months and years to come. We should also teach them to our children and grandchildren before it's too late. This March for Trump and many similar gatherings across this blessed country today celebrate and underwrite an absolutely unique and historic restoration of American national leadership after 8 very long years of wandering in a secular state wilderness, nurturing an increasingly Marxist and jihadist Washington establishment, one that had every prospect of successfully reshaping our American military until saved by Donald J. Trump. history will count Mr. Trump as an American Charles Martel, hero of the Battle of Tours, who rides roughshod over the enemy and overcomes the existential threats of neo-Marxism and jihadism, the premier totalitarian forces in this world today. Neo-Marxism and jihadism have attained great influence in the Oval Office in these past 8 years. Each of those ideologies also dominate many of our grade schools, high schools, and universities today. Those are the choke points, those schools, if you will, through which all of our children must pass. In doing so, they are subject daily to indoctrination, disinformation, and misinformation. No less effective than similar information operations, campaigns of the old Soviet Union. The deep state is a new term to Americans. It refers to those government institutions infiltrated in depth by the new ideologies. That includes the Beltway deep state defense establishment that have been compromised to such a degree that they are engaging in what amounts to civil war, a civil war against the Trump administration and against you and me who voted Mr. Trump into office by a landslide electoral win. Just how long that civil war remains non-lethal is dependent on two things. It will depend on how effectively Donald J. Trump can successfully inform the American people and the movement he began, one postured to defend our republic, and how well he can educate them to the threat presented by former President Barack Hussein Obama, by his Marxist benefactors like George Soros, and joined by a coalition of anarchists and jihadists assembling as we speak to nullify the election of our president. It was we the people, in spite of the best efforts of Capitol Hill Democrat and Republican elites, who chose Donald Trump to lead our way back to a natural state as a constitutional republic. A civil war is being conducted by Obama's Organizing for Action. I believe some of the folks we had earlier were part of that. If you want to check them out, go to ofa.us on the internet and see what they're planning. They're pretty open about it. Organization for Action in a coalition of dozens of left-wing grassroots organizations, many left over from the old Acorn organization, and being targeted against our elected officials at town hall meetings across the land. Very recently in Charlotte, they shut down the council meeting. OFA has openly distributed email instructions on how to shut down civil discourse. They understand that the truth is their greatest obstacle. The principal objective of Obama, Soros, and company is to shut down meaningful communications among we citizens and to nullify the First Amendment. Today, well-funded and led by professional anarchists, OFA is executing their concept of operations in our town halls, in the fake news, and on our fake university campuses. Now what does that have to do with veterans? Of all groups in the United States, the military and its veterans enjoy a special bond, a special trust and confidence of the American people. Veterans can become a valuable source of local, state, and national leadership renewal. A brief story. Special Operations Speaks was invited to join the Accuracy in Media Citizens Commission on Benghazi in summer of 2013 to pursue the real stories behind the Obama administration's story of Benghazi. Excuse me while I grab some water. Thank you. In September 2013, we assembled at the Heritage Foundation in Washington for a one-day seminar on Benghazi and open to the public. Hosted by Accuracy in Media, the newly formed commission included Mr. Charles Wood, father of Tyrone Wood, retired SEAL killed at Benghazi, Admiral James Ace Lyons, Lieutenant General Tom McInerney, Major General Paul Vallely, Claire Lopez, an expert on jihad, and a dozen other subject matter experts. In the middle of the afternoon session, in a attendee raised his hand and stood up and asked a key question. He said, "I'm Mike. I'm an American veteran. I've listened to the Benghazi horror story today and have to ask, what can I do? What can Mike, a veteran, do?" He further said, "My son is a weapons technician sitting in the back of an American attack submarine somewhere at sea today. All my family served honorably. We pay our taxes. We're law-abiding people. What more can I do?" Mike's frustration was palpable. The question hit home. It was a simple question, but with no easy answer. It occurred to us at that point that we'd heard the question from many veterans, but never that succinctly. Since that moment in 2013, we've nicknamed Mike, a software engineer from Maryland, Mike the American. Roger Aronoff, editor of Accuracy in Media, was kind enough to develop a brief video for us, capturing Mike the American's question, a video we often use to introduce the concept that his question spawned. We came home from the Heritage Foundation event determined to answer Mike's question. For if we answered Mike, we will have ventured so many other veterans. A bit of analysis turned Mike's frustration into a more specific problem statement that went something like, problem statement: most veterans do not have a voice in government. From there, our task was to work out what having a voice really meant. We settled on a term that captured what veterans like Mike were searching for: a group of like-minded men and women bonded together by honorable service and who still live by their military oaths, the one we just repeated today, and who still feel a responsibility to their nation. In 2014, SOS developed a two-part concept called Vets in the Fight. In the first part, Vets in the Fight are us, specifically men and women who have served honorably in the U.S. military. You are the vets in the fight by your presence here today. Increasingly, we are a shrinking force. As a comparison, during World War II, 9% of the U.S. population found itself in uniform. In 2017, a mere 0.58% of the U.S. population is in uniform. That includes both active and reserve components of the U.S. Armed Forces. Never have so few defended so many so well.
You're right.
The second part of Vets in the Fight has to do with giving Mike and us the voice in government that is lacking. Had we a voice in government, we'd have resolved the sorry state of the Veterans Administration long ago. In fact, I'm beginning to believe that the VA is too valuable as a political football for either party to seriously address. It's going to be up to us to fix that. The Trump movement provides the most military and veteran-friendly environment perhaps in our lifetimes. Making America great again includes the continuing and substantive contributions of veterans to a respectful and grateful nation. Giving veterans in the fight a voice requires that we put three capabilities into action. Capability number one, vets must vote. Veterans represent a voting bloc large enough to be a kingmaker or a king breaker. Politicians know it and they fear it, but not too much lately. Consider that in the 2012 presidential election, out of roughly 22 million living veterans, 27%, or 6 million vets, never went to the polls. In North Carolina, that amounted to approximately 209,000 vets who stayed home and did not vote. They sat out what up to that point was the most important election since the Great Depression. That veteran failure to vote gave another 4 years to the opponents of the Republic, as well as to some masquerading as friends of the Republic. In the 2016 presidential election, we improved the veteran voting percentage enough to make a difference in winning swing states like Florida, where 1.58 million veterans live, and where they voted in favor of Donald Trump by a 2-to-1 margin. Thank you. Special Special Operations Speaks went on the air via internet radio and made a number of appearances at Veterans for Trump rallies, to include at the Villages in the I-4 corridor in Central Florida. We initiated veteran voter registration drives, urging all the major veteran organizations, and this is really key, urging all the major veteran organizations to make voluntary voter registration a standard part of their welcome package to new and renewing members. That will go a long way over time to fix this problem. We will continue with this approach, enlisting other major veteran organizations to adopt similar programs of their own. Capability number 2, and there will be a quiz after this, by the way. Capability number 2, veterans must serve in public office. A survey of municipal, state, and national governing bodies shows that few veterans are serving. In 1971, 74% of U.S. congressmen had served in uniform. Today, veterans in the fight, like Senator Rabin, who spoke earlier today, Senator Tom Cotton, and U.S. Representatives Duncan Hunter and Rob Maness, stand out amongst their peers, giving their constituencies a full court press on all key issues. SOS is focusing on encouraging and supporting first-term candidates for legislative office in the U.S. Congress. Most recently, we endorsed, publicized, and donated to the campaign of first-term candidate Staff Sergeant Brian Mast of Florida's 18th District. A Ranger and former Army Explosive Ordnance Disposal Specialist, he lost both legs in Afghanistan. Brian, hard charging in everything he does, to include 10K races on his prosthetic legs, won his contest against a long-time incumbent. So new guys, fresh blood, fresh ideas can do it. They can make it. Brian is seated with the 114th Congress today, along with another Army vet and first-termer, Sheriff Clay Higgins of Louisiana's 3rd District. The former Army military policeman, Congressman Higgins, is our second successful endorsement for 2016. A moral victory was made Chris Dose's outcome in Florida's 1st District. As a former Marine pilot, he ran against stiff opposition. We are betting we'll see Chris come back in November 2018, and we'll be there to encourage and promote his efforts. By the way, just as a parenthetical side issue, not one of us gets paid a nickel for what we do, okay? Not for the last 5 years.
Thank you.
So, bringing military veteran talent to the legislative process is always a win for America. They bring to the legislative body the discipline and due diligence inherent in the military decision-making and problem-solving processes. We will continue to survey, encourage, and resource more first-term veteran candidates. Capability number 3, and I'll be finished quickly here. Capability number 3, veterans must hold legislators accountable. So those 2 gents we just sent to Congress, we're going to track them, we're going to rate them, and we're going to let everybody know what we feel about their performance. At capability 2, we offer the candidate the carrot. At capability 3, we apply the stick. Once a first-term candidate is in office, vets in the fight will monitor and assess the strengths and shortcomings of their performance on key issues of importance to national security and to veteran well-being. We've studied and participated in the Heritage Action Sentinel program. Many of you are probably members of that. Excellent. Which offers a workable approach and technically feasible blueprint for adaptation, for achieving the accountability so key to giving vets in the fight a full voice, one that resonates, is recognized, and respected throughout the legislative function of government. Come visit us on Facebook at Special Operations Speaks, and at Twitter at Spec Ops Speaks. Our SOS Vets in the Fight website is under construction under the guidance of the good Mr. Dave Carter over here. And we'll hopefully be back online and reconstructed at the end of the month. I hope we can work with other veterans groups here in North Carolina as well as across the country to reinforce the Trump movement. Before I leave the podium, I'd like to call Mr. Terry Moore forward. Terry, come on up here. Right, come up here. I want to present Mr. Moore with a Special Operations Speaks specially struck coin that we struck in 2013 to commemorate the two former U.S. Navy SEALs, Tyrone Woods and Glenn Doherty, both men lost in defense of the CIA facility at Benghazi on 9/12/2012. Having run a few of these events, I know what goes on behind the scenes. The blood, sweat, and tears that nobody ever sees, but has to be shed. Well, we will get Scott. So, ladies and gentlemen, fellow vets in the fight, thank you for being here today and for giving your attention. Thank you very much.